Babashata tataenda ndakatongozvoda hangu nepwere dzimwe dzazotaura kwai dei atofa dei atofira pa accident ipapo ndikati if we're supposed to list zvigananda strive masiwa isusu chigananda number 1 because the contract that he has to build Econet is a government contract. So why should Strive be a legitimate businessman and Kudakwashi be an illegitimate businessman? And both of them, as it were, one could say I got a contract, one got a project. So that this whole sacrosanct constitution, it must be held with some sacrosanct. Sacrosanct in poverty is what? Who benefits from a constitution that cannot help its own people?
I'm a fan, I'll tell you the truth.
The people's journey. What I need from my journalist is number 1.
Yeah? Serious?
My journalist is this number 1. Number 1.
Zico is a journalist.
I'm a fan, I'll tell you the truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back again. Kwa Elder Maponga, Joshua Marara, Farmers of Thought, Jena, Mastacho, akawandisa ndofunga chero kwa mune maenda mune mchingopiwa zitanyuwani.
Haupedzi ndimi kama nga muri Dubai ka. Mama ngubva Dubai ndikwaita hondo handisi kuti mamafambira zvakanaka ere.
Tandafamba nemuprofita.
Kaundima kasumudza mhepo kuko.
Tandafamba nemuprofita. Saka muprofita vakasumudzira vanhu mhepo vakati gore rekungangurwa vakaenda Dubai bye angangurwa. Bye yatsva. Pese pandoya kwa Elder kunokuka ndosvika nzvimbo ino iri very very smart. This looks like a palace. It's always clean and iri clean udaro inenge ichitocleanwa. Jena vanhu vanenge vachikuti with all respect Jena vanenge vaine tsvina but nzvimbo yamunogara inenge yakachena chaizvo. Muri munhu akachena ndi?
Ndakarerwa namai ndine first born kumba kwedu. Saka mai vakati mwanangu nowacha ugotsvaira ugobika ugosuka ndiro dzako.
Even micheka yenyu yakachena, micheka yekare but inoratidza rinonhuhwirira tumakoloni. Inonzi koloni, inonzi chi?
Ndo problem kavanhu vakaona sokuti kana waita zvechikaranga unofanira kuita svina chete, unofanira kubuda nda namapete, you know, but handifungi kuti zvakadero. Ukaenda into the natural habitat right now mumakomo nomunzizi uchaona kuti makudo nemhuka dzinotogara panzvimbo dzakanaka kudarika kunogara vanhu. Ukadarika kuna Nambare kuno kumamarket ukaona panogara vanhu ugoenda mumakomo uone panogara makudo uchaona kuti makudo they are much smarter.
They are much smart.
Hapana ma-newspaper, hapana ma-plastiki. It's beautiful and I think we must be careful that our civilization has made us less than animals.
And hapana pamungambonyore bhuku rine chekuita nezvekitchen. Murume uyu ane bhuku raakanyora about the kitchen. It's a philosophical book of course, but hapana murume anonyora nezvekuita zvemukitchen asiri smart.
It's a thinking tool, as I call it, because as you look at the sciences that happen in the kitchen, the preservation of food, the cooking itself, the tidiness of the kitchen, because what you are seeing visibly here is going to end up invisible in some people's stomachs. So the journey between the stove and your stomach must be very hygienic. And I use that also as a concept of thinking, that by the time ideas are coming out, what we must be worried about is what has gone in.
What has gone in?
Because what has gone in terms of information, the quality of your mind informs the quality of your voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, kwangu news zvichitenderera zvichinzi Jena vapinda muaccident yakaoma yekuti a lot of people vachiona mavideos acho nemapictures acho they would assume that maybe it's a fatal accident, but we thank God Jena tinavo panapa vakararama vakuratidza kuti vanenge vakagwinya. Totenda Mwari kaJena makapindana nemawana.
Babashata tataenda ndakatongozvoda hangu nepwere dzimwe dzazotaura kwai dei atofa dei atofira pa accident ipapo ndikati nyangwe nguruvengo gwakadero kuti ungavenga munhu kusvika and vanodero sokuti ivovo havachazopindi mumatambudziko. But I don't feel discouraged. I just feel sorry
but vanenge vachiwanza zvavo kuti hanzi jeni vakazoita accident vachifamba nemota dzevarungu taifunga kuti pamwe vari kufanira kunge vari pachikotyari zvavo vachingorarama life yekumusha yavanoda.
Chavanokangamwa ndechekuti each civilization has its own inventions,
yes,
and its own utilities and facilities. Munguva yaJesu, if you believe in that, the Rolls Royce was a donkey.
Yes.
And he rode a donkey to go and get some work done.
He actually went and took a donkey which was packed.
Yeah,
It was packed.
Yeah. So if the question is, even if the old people will be born today, do we want to push them into old archaic lifestyles, or they might have to adapt into the present lifestyle, but using the technologies of the past? The secret, which I can tell you, which is for free, is that sciences are not new. Sciences are modified. We knew how to do contraception, for example, before civilization.
Yes.
The fact that now we're doing tablets does not mean that our grandmothers did not know how to do that. We are now doing cesarean sections in terms of childbirth. Does not mean that our old parents did not know how to deliver children, even in terms of bridges. So the question is, how do you modernize? But above everything else, I think that the spirit of humanity inhabits human flesh and will be relevant at a moment, at a people, to a generation with relevant information. My appreciation of culture does not mean by no means that I'm not educated, or I'm not schooled. It is an appreciation of a history that we are forgetting. So I become like a storehouse, a warehouse of ancient knowledge to project to the modern community what is it that was in the past, which we can take and adapt into the present.
Vanhu vanenge vakutaurawo vachingoita ma-speculations nema-assumption. Hanzi, what do you think would attributed to accident? Was it human error or road hanzi yakashata zingaite?
All the elements put together. An accident is an accident. When you look back, you always say, I could have done this, I could have done this. And yes, the road between Bulu and Harare, it's thin. Those roads were made when we were still driving Volkswagens, small little cars. And by then, trains were working well, buses were efficient. So most of the goods were actually on the railway line, and only few trucks on the road. But with the collapse of the railway system in the country, we are beginning to see more trucks, many trucks on the highways. And on its own, that poses a very big threat. Particularly if you go to countries like America and Britain, they actually ban the trucks after 6 p.m. in the night. No trucks, you must park. You just leave the cars for civilians. So, and I think the road between Bulu and Harare needs to be expanded. But not only that, we also want to see the restoration of the railway line. But we are aware. Why?
So that at least about passenger.
We are aware why the railway line will not be fixed in a hurry.
Why?
Because some of the members of parliament, some of the business people have invested lots of money into the trucks. Now, for them to begin to vote and push for the agenda for the railway line to be sufficient, we only mean a knock on their businesses. So we begin to see a drag of feet. Some have 30, 40, 60 trucks that are rolling on the road.
Don't you think kuti mu parliament izvi zvingove ma-amendment ari kuitwa? One of my amendment afana kutoproposwa is someone who wants to occupy public office should also declare kana paine conflict of interest. That
one is even beautiful, but it's localized because it only faces one lifespan to the life of the one who is in parliament. What we are looking at is the 2063 agenda. We're looking at the 2080, possibly the 300 agenda and beyond, maybe 100 years from now. Let's start talking about 26. The question is, what kind of systems do we begin to put in place in 2026 that will make sure by the time we get to 3026, we have actually built an economy that is sustainable. The trucks model is not sustainable in the long term. Zimbabwe right now is at the junction where Johannesburg was in the 1800s, and that is the booming of the mining industry.
In the 1800s.
And immediately when the industry is beginning to boom in that fashion, you cannot tell me that you can move all the coal, all the tin, all the asbestos, all the iron, and chrome and platinum with trucks. You can only do that to a regional market and a little bit of the international market. But if you are really supposed to look at becoming a global player in terms of export of those materials, of course, after beneficiating them, you want to start creating. See what Cecil John Rhodes and Smith did. Cecil John Rhodes had a vision from Cape to Cairo.
Yes.
And the A1, we're talking about the road that starts in Cape Town, that shoots to... Now, that's a vision that has lived for more than 200 years.
And this one man, 1800s.
Could see
yes
into the future. But if our politicians can only see to the distance of their wallet, then they'll put policies that favor them only in one generation. Hence, you talk about the 2028, you talk about 2030, which is 2 days from here. Literally 2 days from here.
2 days.
That's short.
And
by the time we get to 2 days, half of them that are making these policies will be dead.
Will be gone, yes.
So why do we leave old people to be discussing the future which they are not part of?
We'll dig deep into that. The same old people, of course, they are advocating for them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a very deep conversation, and I'm going to make sure that nothing is lost. Camera, just to check it, all your cameras are recording. I want to take you back a little to where you were talking about the roads. That is one of my causes at the accident that you had. Someone would say, Benson Matinyari, you were telling a good Zimbabwean story, and one would assume that there are no bad roads at all in Zimbabwe. Toti parizvino makufesa reality here of what is on the ground, and are you trashing the tell a good Zimbabwean story that you have been preaching for the last 3-4 years?
By saying that the roads are improving, we do not say the roads are completed in terms of their construction. I've been on the Buluwe Road. I think I raised quite a big alarm on the road when I drove in there. Construction has started. I think they're about 35 or 40%. But there's still lots of work to be done. And to finish that road as it were, it won't take 3 months. It won't take 6 months. Maybe by the end of the year, or maybe next year, or maybe 2028, 2027, we could be talking about the completion of the road. And so for us to say, because one piece of the road is not yet completed.
Yes.
But what I'm glad and I'm excited about is to begin to see a very, very active participation in terms of public works projects, where the road construction has become a national agenda item, which has become a key feature in terms of the performance of our presidents, whereby we are now looking at how do you...
Just before I give you, you see this thing. Uchichiona chinoita chakasviba zingaite kana tichizviona kana mamovie kana chinzi chiri kung'anga kwasekuru kana noitona muine ropa mukati, but if you could see how clean it is inside and mvura iri mukati kuti kutoramba yakachena. I think this is the cleanest item that I've seen in a while. Huh?
Thank you. It's my cup. Andikana mpedza kudya ng'ombe yacho munorasha ndikazotora ndikandogadzira hangu cup.
Bari pakuchisuka munosuka nema nje kuti zvizosvika uku nema kushandisa toothbrush.
Kune nyangwe zviya zvokutoilet zviya. But you just don't use them for the toilet, of course. You buy it new and you use it.
Okay.
Auzotombona zvigero zvinocheka sadza here, zvinocheka muriwo mukicheni. Unongona uchitenga chiri chigero. Panokuchekesa vhudzi, uchekesa muriwo. Saka izi ndokuchekesa nyama futi. Ukaenda kumarestaurant vanocheka nyama ine zvigero. But asati zvacheka vhudzi yazvo. But don't worry, it's just it's a tool. It can be used for anything.
Tandichitaura nawe kuti maroads probably makasangana nawo mukaona kuti hey, maroads aya andaifamba ndakati akanaka, hey, anenge akashata.
And now kuti maroads akanaka, there is development in the country. We're beginning to see infrastructure development at a rapid pace, to an extent that I actually wonder what was Mugabe doing for 35 years. But had we maintained the maintenance and construction of roads at the pace at which Mnangagwa is doing, we would not be in the mess that we're in right now. The work is on, but it's not complete.
I actually agree, of course, because kwandotogara kutone road yakatovhurwa 3 days ago, and we are enjoying. But imimi with one Rutendo Benson Matinyari, wekuti you are the pioneers of that tale. A good story about Zimbabwe. It's now claiming that it was PR. And usually PR is paid.
I don't want to speak on behalf of...
you speak on behalf of yourself.
Yeah. I don't want to speak on behalf of Benson, and I don't want to get myself entangled into the motive of his conversations and what others might want to deem change of mind or change of focus or change of client. Because if you are talking about PR, it almost sounds like it's a contractual obligation.
Yeah, usually it's paid.
Where we're being told to do a certain amount of work by client X and client Y or client B has come. The agenda items change.
Yes.
But all what he was saying and all what I was saying, I went to Gwai, Shangani,
Yes.
Dam. I took videos. I covered that story. I was there on the construction site. I drove the Mashingo Harare Road. I saw what was happening and I reported on that. I went to Wange Power Station when they were opening Section 7. And I saw it myself. I took pictures. I covered the story when I was there. I went to Parliament. I saw it. So it's not.
You actually protested about the roads in Vicfor's.
While I was there,
yes.
I protested. So it's not like once you begin to say the government is doing something well, then everything else is wrong. It's like you are married. Are you married?
No, I'm not married. I'm going to be married in 9 months from now.
The day you get married, you cannot always be seeing the bad things that your wife is doing. What she's doing right is right. What she's doing wrong, we correct. And I think I've tried to keep that voice, though it is not very familiar to our contaminated political environment. Because once you mention something good that Mnangagwa has done, you are a bootlicker, you are singing for your supper. It's a contaminated environment whereby the airport is finished and you'll actually want people to criticize an airport. I fly on the airport every week. It's much better than what we used to have. Will I turn my blind eye because the government has failed to finish the road in Blue Whale? Therefore, even the airport is horrible. No, be objective. What is right is right. Chakanaka. And I think we do ourselves a disfavor when we fail to see and encourage the government when it is doing what is right. You saw me a few weeks ago complaining about Bikita. I got stuck in my own constituency. And I went on social media and I did not spare ZANU-PF. I did not spare my MP because the reality was, in fact, I did not even release some of the details. Another patient died waiting to cross that river. And the question is this the kind of members of parliament and government that we're dealing with, that people can't even access to basic services? Therefore, what we do like a chicken, you pick the grain.
Yes.
You leave the soil.
You pick the grain. You leave the soil.
Because I'm going
Anza urase mvura nemwana wacho. Yes.
Because you need it again. So let's encourage the government. Not only encourage them, let's hold them accountable. Even now, the document I finished writing 2 weeks ago, before I had the accident, was to write to the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Roads, and the Minister of Rural Development. I personally want to have the strategy for Bikita. When they sit in Parliament and they think about Bikita, is there any blueprint anywhere of projects that need to be done? So that we can also come back and say, you have approved it in Parliament. Why is it not being done? And we hold our government and members of Parliament and senators accountable to that which they've put on their NDS 1 and NDS 2. That is not being negative. That is being patriotic, whereby we want to encourage the good to continue happening. And the evil of appointing each other, appointing incompetent contractors to do government projects, and half of that money ends up in people's pockets and projects are not accomplished. I think that must be condemned from the highest office to the most peasant person like myself.
Did you communicate that?
I've already sent that document.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and this is not for me only.
It's for?
This is for everybody in their constituency. That ask your MPs, what does the government think about us in the next 10, 15, 20 years? And then hold that blueprint. That is what you must use to campaign, actually. That according to the government, we have allocated 260 million in this district for the next 5 years. What we want to do, we want to put a dam there, we want to build a road there, we want to build a school there, and the timelines are within 6 months, this will be done, within 1 year, this will be done. You cannot come back and campaign 2 years later, and what you told us 2 years ago is not yet been done.
Azvite. Unofana to disqualify on that.
So ask me what is the problem. Our constituencies, they appoint each other on the basis of loud voices. Kutengerana doro, nukupanana zima $2, nukutengerana zima coffin during funerals. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. No, I think that time is gone. We need competent members
So
of
the
parliament.
problem, contrary to what people think would be the problem, the fish starts to rot from the top. So it's actually bottom up now.
Ndikanibokudza chakawanzika shamari. When you are appointing a CEO of a company, it takes time to appoint a CEO. I was there in South Africa on 1 or 2 clients, and we had to sit down for 6 months
Yes.
looking for the
CEO.
verifying references, competencies, family background, debt, upside down to smoke a CEO. And we never went to the employees to ask them, which CEO do you want to take over the company?
So
Because the members who are working, the employees who are working here, they don't know what we need as shareholders
all right.
from the CEO.
All right.
Now hear the illustration well.
Yeah,
Then how do we go to the constituencies to choose a president
so what
when in fact when in fact the constituency does not know the competencies that are needed? All they know are the problems that they have. So the question I have for you is, why do you choose an MP? Why do you choose a member of parliament? Why do you choose a prime minister or a president who is actually incompetent? He neither has a degree in engineering, neither has a degree in medicine so that he can look at health, neither a degree in education that he can improve the education system. It's just a man who can say viva, viva, viva. Look at all African politicians. Beautiful in slogans, very weak in development.
because that concept kainoshanda mudemocracy. Mudemocracy anokwanisa kungoti vanhu vangonakidzwa ndianoenda nechimoti. But are you
Nakidzwa need democracy, but forget about development.
who should choose leaders for us now?
Listen, I'm actually putting this thing very, very, very emphatically. Africa must make a decision whether you want development or you want democracy. Because democracy has been proved, even from America to here, to Tanzania, to wherever you want to point. Democracy is plastic. It's manipulatable. It can be bought.
But kuvarungu kwavo, it seems like it's working very well.
I like the word you used, seems. Seems like it's working. Maybe you must go to America, check your news and see how that democracy is working. Ask Venezuela if democracy is working. Ask Iran right now if democracy is working. Ask Libya if democracy is working. Cuba is now trembling. Ask them. And who is causing the problems? A democratic government, which has now democratic rights over other governments. That's what you call democracy. That's imperialism dressed up in democracy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Marara Maponga Joshua, he has asked me that this conversation should be more academic than kuti ingova cheap gossip, word on the street, rumors and chi. So we are going to look at these issues very deep. But it will be injustice, of course, kuti tiregerongo pfuro briefly in 1 or 2 issues that I would want him to comment on. Because Zigo, why didn't you ask this question?
Why don't you are singing for your supper? You've been bought.
Of course, if I don't sing for my supper, I'll sleep hungry. It's wise also to. Admit how was your reception there?
It was beautiful. Beautiful. First class, the treatment, the doctors were stunning, the rooms were clean.
Yes.
As you know well, they were very clean and full staff that was attending to me, and it was for free.
It was for free.
I paid no penny.
Ndiana no qualify kwenda ikoko bozi nana kugredo ari kuchipinga.
It's unfortunate that the facility is small, that a private free hospital that can now not be used as a national hospital, where you can now house the whole. Now, this is where I wish some of the young people and old people who have money to say, how can we now duplicate the Arundel model across the whole country?
Yes.
Maybe you can reduce the buying of these perishable pieces of furniture, we call cars, and all this glamour of running around, Who can do better? We've seen the season of showing off. We now need another season of doing something about the social ills. So if we can have another Arundel model, if without mentioning names, if businessman X can also open his hospital, businessman X can open a clinic.
We have that type of competition.
It's a beautiful competition. Let's not compete who has more cars, who has got bigger houses. You build a 52-bedroom house. Who stays there?
But we should also mention Scott Sakupanya, he opened his own in Mavuku.
It was plus a stadium.
Yes.
So actually, maybe the secret of development is not only us waiting for the government, but some of these are actually business ideas. Even the road we're complaining about. I've been to South Africa, I've lived there. The roads from Petersburg to Pretoria to Rustenburg, all those roads, when you see a crocodile, small little crocodile on the billboard, that is Bakwena. Bakwena. That is the king of Bakwena.
Okay.
With a platinum miner, the royal house. All those roads belong to them. And they do the toll gates. If right now for a business idea, the government can honestly say the road of Bulawayo is up for business.
So Makwena is the king?
The king, yes.
Who owns that land?
He owns the land, plus he owns the roads. Those roads, they're his roads. He maintains them. And they're the most beautiful roads in the whole country. So the road between Harare and Bulawayo, if it is put up for bid right now, that who wants this road?
But my private citizens, usually when they want to contribute in nation building, let's say Argo Glenview, Afunga Genbo Bako, road street man, my private citizens, usually they say they face resistance from a politician because no one wants to be a limelight.
Yeah, you said it right. Problem is that are incompetent, who are more interested in their limelight than the light of the community. Clinic, constitutions marco, I'm going to take away your limelight. MP because you've been proved useless. Maybe that is beautiful competition.
Yes.
But some of these infrastructures that we are complaining about, they cannot be done on private contracts, whereby private individuals, private investors can actually buy those dilapidated roads, fix them, repair them, and collect toll gates. It's a very, very lucrative business.
On our last interview, you cooked, and I cooked that you cooked Strive Masio, one of the biggest investors or businessmen in this country. And now he has decided that Econet must be delisted from ZSC. Does it mean that you chased our businessmen from this country? Is it now practically you are move a business?
Econet is not being controlled from here.
I would just thought it literally because the owner is in UK, but it's a Zimbabwean controlling his company from diaspora.
The question is, where is the money of Econet going?
It was listed on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. So
but where is the money going?
I don't know.
He's the richest man in the whole country. Can you show me where we can see his money?
Capenham Trust, scholarships.
His scholarship, but yes, I can hear you. Everyone else is doing those scholarships. It's not the only one. But I mean meaningful transformation. You're talking about Scott right now, who is number 22 from Strive in terms of wealth. But you've now already mentioned he has done physical things. Why is Strive not investing in physical infrastructure and rather than investing in social responsibility projects that are non-tangible? Yes, I know education is tangible. You get educated, etc. But where are those? Where is the return, physical return? Right now, we're talking about roads, hospitals, and etc. And I think maybe some of these business people, it's their money. We have no right of telling them what to do with their money. But when you look at social issues that need intervention, that's when you also hope that our business community can also come forward. The likes of the Joiner City people, the Simon Redlicks, the Tagwireis of this world, the Chivayas of this world, the Scots of this world. We want also to see them directly participating in the physical transformation of the economy and the infrastructure of the country. Right now, if I can say, walk with me, Kumbakwa Strive, let's see the clinic where his grandmother is going. The clinic where she is collecting high blood pressure tablets. The road that leads there. Has his billionaire status changed his environment?
Maybe someone would argue that it gives a picture that Zimbabwe is not a conducive environment. If you see the biggest company, it's one of the biggest companies, Econet, it is sugar about we want to delist.
Yeah, but he gave an academic explanation as to why he was delisting, so that he can manage his risk, of course. and manages competition also, put some shareholding away, or maybe even better, tuck away some money somewhere else so that the liability does not end up with him. Whatever strategy he used to delist his company,
Yes.
as he is saying that he felt it was good for the business to do so. But in African politics, where some of these appointments and some of these tenders, it's not, it's public history that actually that contract was given by ZANU-PF.
Yes.
It was given by the government. And Joshua Nkomo was the negotiator on that deal and etc. So his wealth, as it were, if we're supposed to list it Gananda, Strive Masiwa is Gananda number one. Because the contract that he has to build the Econet is a government contract. So why should Strive be a legitimate businessman and Kudagwa should be an illegitimate businessman? And both of them, as it were, one could say, I got a contract, one got a project. If you know the difference.
Yes, I get it.
Yeah. One got a project of command agriculture to build food sustainability in the country. One got a contract to supply a network. And then you wake up in the morning in Zimbabwean politics, Strive is the most successful and most ethical businessman. And this one is Chigananda. That whole narrative is wrong. And we can see where it is being peddled from. It is not, it's opposition politics. It's opposition politics.
But the opposition is dead again, Zimbabwe.
It is dead on paper, but it is alive in people's brains. Just walk through the streets of social media. You can see the animal is alive and well.
As the animal is alive and well, I didn't see your rage concerning the AFCON tournament. The Senegal team was stripped off for Moroccans.
I have no interest in colonial entertainment. It is entertainment for the poor.
Colonial entertainment.
Soccer. So if nothing is soccer, basketball, rugby, all these things, they're time wasters. If you go back to the history of sports in Rome, when one way in which the Roman government was able to manage its people, that's when they started the gladiators, building colosseums. And then they would make people fight with lions. And the gladiators would come there with pangas and fighting each other and people cheering. That was another way of pacifying the whole community, keep them entertained. Yes. So there are two ways in which you manage your community. Number one, make sure that there's abundance of alcohol on the street. And when they are sober, make sure that they are watching something they never own. So on my 7 list of principles, sports, recreation, and entertainment comes on number 5. That if we are not careful to decolonize our sports and entertainment, we'll end up spending money and time, unredeemable time.
But would you think of any other event, let's say, which brings Africans together, to unite together, more than sporting or soccer in a way?
We have not invested money into Pada, into Tsoro, into Ndoma, into Fuwa, into all those. And by the way, that Fuwa business, it is much more intellectual than 10, 15 soccer teams put together. It's mathematical. You're calculating, you're managing by tools. That's actually computer. You're computing your mind. And to have games such as chess being acclaimed for world championships, games such as snooker, which are now beginning to gain world standards. Come on, look around Africa. Tell me that we did not know how to entertain ourselves. I'm not golf here. Make that small little ball. Men would hit it and run and chase it and hit it. It was a very popular game. You look at Senegal, you look at Sudan, the boxing matches, those traditional boxing matches. Different ball game altogether.
Even Sudan, the one on Askana foot on the time high jump. And then go bounce on the tennis. But my suppose here Jima Gombe and another soccer.
Money has been invested into those games.
Mm.
Media has pumped them. We're looking at maybe 30, 60 years of constant lobbying of soccer until it has now been accepted as a nation. Until you hear someone in Zimbabwe say, I'm Manchester United. I am Madrid.
Yes.
Like when you look at Mfano Mtorashanga saying, I am, that's branding on steroids, where a team that is packed in Europe has been able to package its brand.
I see now if vacuum it out, there was no interesting sporting activities in Zimbabwe, like zvekuti munhu angazoti I'm Dynamos or I'm Capes.
The economy of the country.
Because South Africa, most of them, they are not Manchester or what, they are Orlando Pirates.
Orlando Pirates, yes.
Kaizer Chiefs.
Hence, when an economy collapses, entertainment suffers. Yeah, because entertainment is what you do after you've eaten. After you're full, then you go and play. But if most of your time you're hungry looking for food, you have no time to play. And I think with recession, with economic structural adjustment systems, ESAP that came, with sanctions that came, you begin to see people getting more worried about the things that sustain them. And in the midst of that, businesses stop putting money in entertainment. It was a much more important things to do. It's only now, as the economy is going up, one of the indicators that tells you that an economy is getting better is sporting.
Yes.
You begin to see.
Taona Scotland.
You begin to see new teams.
Private partners achisoma munana Dynamo, munana Highlander.
But you tell me in the midst of recession, you'd be able to get $2 into those teams. They collapsed. Players ran away, and to build a sustainable team cannot happen overnight. It's going to take some time. But I also want to be very grateful for the new president of SIFA.
Yes.
That is Mugwisi. I think he's doing a very good job in Ngobile, putting things together. Though I hear there's some wars there. The old players are trying to manage and control the selection of teams and influencing and polluting the environment, and but it's soccer politics, which I know.
Which are petty to you.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, tabezobvunza Chena Makua. Hatingazongobveka tisina kutaurawo one or two things. So we want to look really panawe Zimbabwe and my issues ane chekuita nedemocracy governance muZimbabwe. Of course, we've got questions about my constitutional amendment, my term limit, machi zvese ipapa tichazvibvunza kuna Jena tichinzwa kuti zvakamira sei. So if you are watching, you are a fan of Bishop Maponga, Joshua Manara, you are watching from another country, I think you should just try to connect into the conversation. We use English half of the sentence and Sean half of the sentence, because some of us, we are not that gifted in this colonial language, just as the bishop is. The bishop, you are so gifted in a colonial language. Are you proud of yourself? Shouldn't you be ashamed that you speak good English?
It's a tool.
Yes,
it's a tool.
Yeah.
And to master the language, it is to master the very DNA of the system that captures us. So we need to know their language fluently, so that when they speak deception to us, our ears will not be deceived by incompetence. So yes, I'm not embarrassed that I can speak English fluently. That's the time and money was invested into that. But in the midst of me being so fluent in a colonial language, just a tool for communication. Ndinotaura uchikananga zvakanaka chose, handina dambudziko. Chinokureketa chako tikati ndanga kunodudzira pano ndosara ndokureketa ndoga ndimukaranga woho chaiko hwiro. Hand my way around Ndebele, sikhulumela isiNdebele, hawu khuluma isiZulu sami nje kuzwakale nami mami ngiyaqoba phansi kube nomsindo ngoba chivenda chobukuma ebulabula changani ikwazo mthezi Swati kamba chichewa chinyanja
ndondimi kazinotarwa mBhayibheli
dumelang likai wontati kaSwana kaSuthu. So it's and I'm not linguistically disabled.
I want you to co-sign a certain young man in the UK, another Len Shona. He's doing Zimbabwean music. He's teaching Van Shona.
Okay.
He compares and contrasts with Nana Swahili, Nana Zulu, other types of languages. But he's living in colonial countries, but very far away from home.
Let's connect if he's available. See what we can do to assist.
Len Shona, munobata Bishop Maponga, munongonibata, and then you'll be able to sit down and do one or two things. Democracy in Zimbabwe. Yeah, so short the past.
The democratic system we find ourselves in Africa. Let me not even talk about Zimbabwe, because then we will look like we are naive or ignorant to the environment in which Zimbabwe finds itself.
Yes.
The democratic system that we have in Africa, as it were, is a decoy of the highest order.
In what sense?
Because it does not disturb the institutions that were built by colonialism itself.
All right.
So you have a government that must sign into a democratic republic. And within the democratic republic, the key factors is that the economic structures, the banking, the legal frameworks, and the system which had been established by colonialism is not interrupted. But that the new black leaders must now become the champions of managing the very same system.
Varongowatema.
I did not say that, you said it yourself.
I said it.
So if you say we have a problem, the problem, in fact, is not the democracy. The problem is not the leaders. The problem is the system. And the leadership that we have thinks that it will make this goat to become a sheep.
But democracy is very simple, Jen. Very simple. One man, one vote. You vote for your interest, and then the one you vote represents your interest. Who are the beneficiaries? You as the country, you are the beneficiaries.
To a simple-minded person, it is simple. To a deep thinker, you are changing drivers.
So simple-minded indeed.
You are changing drivers. And the bus is still going in the direction in which it must go. And it does not care who drives it, as long as it continues going.
Which one is the bus here?
The system.
And who is the owner of the bus?
That's a good question. Now finally you're home. So let's discuss who is the owner of democracy.
Venek.
Who?
Of course.
Show me the address where democracy lives.
A democracy, of course, it was
show me its wife.
Somewhere.
Show me its child.
It's also Nigedi.
You see, you are fitting a round, you are fitting a square pole into a round hole. It does not fit. The governance structures of democracy are not conducive to indigenous forms of governance. Your democratic system, number one, comes to address issues of governance. How are you going to be governed? Are you going to be using royalty, monarchical system? Are you going to be using meritocracy? Are you going to use benevolent dictatorship? Are you going to use democracy itself? Are you going to use the feudal system? There are more than 42 methods of governance that are in the world to date, which you can do yourself a favor to go and read. The question is, why is Africa stuck with one method when actually the supermarket gives us 42? The question I really want to ask you, have we not studied all of them? Can we not hybridize our democracy so that in the midst of us incorporating the democratic system, we can also find relevance in our own ancient indigenous knowledge systems, which is the gap that we tend to find in African democracies, where we want it to be all pure white democracy as dictated by the Western society, not as dictated by us. Why are we complaining as people?
Tombotanga in Zimbabwe, what do you suggest?
I suggest that we learn from Rwanda. I suggest that we learn from China. I suggest we learn from Russia. So that we can learn actually how to hybridize our constitution.
Nyika dzamasuggesta dzese, Rwanda, China,
Singapore,
Russia, and Singapore. They are very good in managing their economies, very good in good governance. And but kune nginzi kune repression, human rights, kune crushing of decent voices.
You can't have both. Maybe that's the end of the day. You can't have both. For China to get to where it is now, they needed a dictator who closed out media, who closed out imports and export. The government took responsibility over their own resources. They did reverse re-engineering, bought machines, bought graders, yellow fleets into China, broke rules of IP, intellectual property, created their own businesses, bought contracts with the clothing factories and accessories, the bags, the Gucci's and etc., signed huge contracts. People came because they're the system now and donated their IPs, make us iPhones, make us clothes, make us Gucci bags, make us this, and they collected all this information over 35 years. Only the last 2 years did China finally say, enough is enough. We've been manufacturing for you, but the factories are here. We start telling the world exactly how much your Gucci bag costs you. And I feel embarrassed for some of our celebrities who have been walking around wanting to be known as Mr. Gucci, Mr. Ajoshia Armani, Mr. Who. And all of a sudden you discover the same thing you're trying to pose and tell me that my bag is worth so much money. And now we know in China, I was there last year. It's true. I bought myself one or two things.
How did they allow you into China?
I got a visa. There's an embassy here. You can just get a visa.
No, of course they allowed you using a visa. But not Semuno, you've been so much critical of Chinese investors, Chinese tendencies, how they operate their businesses. You would rightly assume what you are going to.
I don't criticize. I don't criticize. I'm objective because what we are saying Zimbabwe must do, that's what China has done. So that's not being anti-China. I'm not anti-China. We started trading with the Chinese way back in the times of the Phoenicians, before the 0 ABCs and etc. The Great Zimbabweans still find some porcelain and other utensils found in the Great Zimbabwe, showing that the Chinese they've been our trading partners for the longest of time. But in the 21st century, we cannot, as Zimbabwe, afford an economy that is exporting raw materials. And I'm glad the moratorium of lithium is coming right on time, which of course confuses many of our Chinese partners who had come here thinking that they're just going to dig lithium and go away with it. And the government has put a good policy. No more export. In a moratorium on lithium export. Start building industries here. Let us produce the solar panels here. Let's produce the lithium batteries here. So the factories are now underway to be constructed. We're beginning to attract a different quality of investor. Not the one who is harvest, collect, and run away, but harvest, beneficiate, manufacture, then ship out of the country, final raw material. The conclusion on that fact is that maybe we need to stop digging more. We need to start manufacturing more.
No, we'll come back to the mineral policy, which we suggest for the country. You talked about Rwanda and other countries are near what I would say, or what is commonly described as benevolent dictatorship. Dictators, they impose themselves. You don't choose a dictator with a dictator. So who do you think now will come and say, I'm going to be that Kagame of Rwanda for you. I'm going to be that Putin of Russia for you. Since it's by democracy, that system will not work in the country.
The military plays a very vital role in many of these dictatorships, whereby you need to recalibrate your interest as a country. The advantage of a dictator is that if he is a dictator who is well disciplined, who has an agenda, who is clear about his objectives, who takes the country as a military base where things must now run in a certain order and get things done, like what Traore is doing. He has even suspended elections. Just wait. Let's get work done first. Traore is doing it.
But he's criticized the guy. He accepted
You can
the
criticize
same
him.
American
I was there 2 weeks ago.
funding that we refused in Zimbabwe.
I was there 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he's doing very well. The whole country is a construction site. And on the other side, you look at a democratic country like Congo, like Burundi,
Or Zambia.
poorest country in the whole world, Burundi. And then what do we say? Is democracy working? Okay, there you have. You go and you vote, and you're poor. Here's a dictator,
Yes.
and he's getting things done. But the disadvantage, however, of dictatorship, if you have a wrong dictator, who then becomes
So
self-aggrandization.
dictatorship is good, but you need the right dictator, not the good dictator, but the right dictator.
You have never, I used this illustration in the past. You have never seen any of our government officials and church ministers, all of the propagators of democracy, going home and sitting with their children, asking them to vote that I want to make your mother pregnant.
I see.
There's no democracy. The father decides, and the mother, they decide by themselves, and they do what they want to do. Children, you follow. So how do you think that you can practice in government that which you cannot implement in a family circle?
I see.
It's foreign. It's foreign. And hence you find, even in Africa, and I say this with lots of understanding, many of our presidents, immediately they get into power, they want to be treated like kings.
What is the difference between a king and a president?
The spelling.
Of course.
Of course.
But what I mean
The
is,
king has sovereignty
yes,
and the ownership of land and the consultative forum where his subjects, where his princes, where his advisors are the ones who speak on his behalf, and he's the audience of their own thinking.
And what would you suggest could be the best for our country?
We've already set up the Monarchical Trust. The question is, how do you set up Monarchical Trust if you don't have the Monarchical king?
So, through Famba on our way to creating a dynasty or
I can say,
a kingship in
yes,
Zimbabwe.
Yes, I can almost say that ahead of time. It would be much better for us to take democracy, combine with the monarchical system like they did for Britain. It would be the safest thing that this
But
country. We are now more educated. We can collect all the legitimate kings and then we appoint in a rotating cycle amongst themselves. But the advantage of that is now that the president does not sit on top of the kings. The president sits on a lower chair and he must give accountability to the owners. Now the kings.
So we can
become
have
the
a
shareholders.
kingship. And then it over the presidency or
He's a
something
CEO.
like that.
He becomes a CEO who reports to the board of directors, who reports to the owners of the land. Because look at it this way.
That's what is really we run.
That's what is happening in Britain, one of the most stable countries in the whole world. The Prime Minister of Britain is the CEO of the country. And he reports to who?
He reports to King Charles.
And is that country not stable? So what do we lose? The Monarchical Empire looks at us. The Great Zimbabwe looks at us. 285 sites, with the Great Zimbabwe is the biggest.
But there's no reason my question is, who is the Monarchical now?
We are not ignorant. We are not necessarily looking for Monarchical as a person. We are saying they are already established the royal houses that we have. 12 legitimate royal houses in this country. To hell with all those other kings who call themselves king of Namambo. Most of those ones got to become royalty because of the colonial system.
Yes.
Then they were given those titles, but they are legitimate houses. Then the legitimate houses gather together, and amongst them, they can choose in a rotation of 3 to 4 to 5 years who becomes the leader amongst them. But the president no longer is accountable to himself.
Yes.
But the president is now accountable to the owners of the land. Because after colonization, our own comrades, our own brothers and sisters, whom we now call the war veterans, they walked into power and they sat on the same chairs that the colonial masters were sitting on. Land was never returned to its rightful owners. And even as we speak now on the land reform, the land is not being returned to the rightful owners. They are returning it to themselves. They are returning it to each other.
Who are the rightful owners?
The people.
The
people. We're not just talking about a small little piece of land. We're talking about the whole country being fairly distributed to those that owned it. It means that even Harare here is collecting rent from Mbari. Who is the rightful owner? This city. They are not Mbari here. They are Mbari. They are Gurundoro. Where is Gurundoro is the municipality? We have a municipality that is collecting rent illegitimately on someone's land. Will Harare be returned to Mbari? Will the mayor here be accountable to the owner of the land? Or he has become a thief on the land in the name of democracy? So it's a reset of the entire government infrastructure. Wanagweru, Wanabulawayo, all those places, there are people who live. In some certain cases, people who even removed from those lands. Some of them can still identify their places where they used to live in these greater places. They are displaced to date. And ministers and war veterans and government officials are cutting those pieces of land, giving each other, taugara kopi, taugara uchisipiti, takenda kurua. The municipality is selling, cutting land, giving it to people. And the land you are giving, someone's grandfather's grave is on that land. I know some few illustrations.
Satofana kudzokera mashure totanga kutsvaga kuti who are the original owners of
Iyi
this land.
yamakatsika iyi yeland iyi ihondo iyi ichandodhubuka mberi uko nokuti history does not lie.
But the generation that we have especially the Amatuke, they are really not concerned about land.
You tell me that when the white people started doing these things in the 1800s, did they think that we'll get here?
I would know. What do you think?
I don't think they saw it. They thought that we would just whitewash these people and make them Christians, and they would love God, they want to go to heaven, and they are very soon Jesus is coming back again. If someone strikes you, give him the other cheek. And they're very
They
happy.
never thought it
For
one day
100
would
years,
walk.
on one morning in the late 60s,
Yeah.
one generation wakes up and says, enough is enough. Where are we now? History turns. Every empire collapses. And what makes empires collapse, it is dishonesty. It is disenfranchising of the common people. The knowledge I'm giving you now is available on the ground. People have not yet forgotten who they are.
Kana tichitaura nezveland, your land police zvinofambirana futi nemineral police. Who owns matombo ari?
Wakuya zvakanaka manje. Once you address land, you've addressed housing, you've addressed mining, you've addressed forestation, you've addressed water, you've addressed, basically there's one ministry only the government can talk about. It's a ministry of land.
Yeah, Minister of Lands.
Because if in sports, you cannot play sports in the trees. You need land to play the sports. You cannot talk Minister of Health. You need a venue where you can heal the people and herbs that you can harvest. So land for me is just one ministry. The rest of them are peripheral ministry. Real ministry is land. So once you begin to say who is the rightful owner of the land, it is you on your grandmother's farm. There are minerals underneath. Why would the government now put a policy that another person can come into your farm and push you away from your farm and they can start digging there because there's a government policy that allows them to do that? I have a problem on my farm right now, my grandfather's farm in Bigita, where a man came with a concession from the government and he cut 10 hectares in that farm and he's mining in my grandfather's farm. And we as a family are receiving no cent and the government supports him on that.
What about those Zimbabweans who are landless?
There's no Zimbabwean who's landless.
If I don't have a farm, if I don't have a grandfather who's got a farm, I'm landless.
That's where knowing yourself is important. Uraniwe, wokwani, zitarakundani, dini fudzijena, tubva kwamrewa, tubva wedza, tubva kwati, and you say those things, yeah, that's totems. They're not totems. They're actually claims to land rights. Kana mtupo wako uri kwaningi, under this indigenous system I'm telling you about, you have a right. As a Mkanya to say, Tinogarab. As a Nyati, we come here. As a Nungu, we come from there. As a Mbeba, we come from there. That land is available on not only your grandfather's farm, but your identity. In your totemic knowledge, you also have access to your entitlement over land rights.
That is okay, Jenapa Mineral Police. Panapa ndikawana golide panapa. Nderani.
Nduro wariwana. The one who finds it owns it. That's how the policy works right now. Whereas it must be the one who finds it must partner with the one who stays there. Right now is the one who finds it, as long as it is 5 or 10 meters, I don't know how many meters away from your house.
But tinema issue yekuti munhu anouya aine tsamba from Ministry of Mines yekuya kuzomaina munda mako.
Yeah, that policy is wrong. That policy is the breeding ground of violence. Yeah, breeding ground of violence. Because right now I'm not comfortable with a man who is mining in my grandfather's farm. Yeah, and he's just digging, defecating on thing, fencing the place up, he's cutting wood in my own in the farm and to support his structures in the whole thing. It's destroying the farm. And other Makorokos are digging on the other side and bringing the ore to him so that he purifies it and he claims that he's not responsible. But we know that there is a kingpin there because those people don't have no way they can crush that ore except in his mine. So they come there with bags of gold and they give him, then he pays them. And they're destroying the rest of the farm. So that policy, according to me, it is wrong. We need to revisit that. Hence, when you talk about amendment number 3, these are the issues. Now that we have already started skinning this animal called the Constitution, remove the entire skin from our health policy. How do we include indigenous medicines? To our sports, how do we indigenize them? To mining, how do we indigenize our mining and remove this colonial form of taking away people's land and other people can mine? The extension of offices and etc. How do we put leaders in power who can put projects that will be around for 2063? What kind of people do we have? Do we need politicians to do that? Or do we need technocrats whom we can employ as a country, who can deliver the NDS 1 and NDS 2? You cannot leave the development of a country in the hands of politicians. You can't. A politician is not an engineer. He can't build.
Ayo. Ladies and gentlemen, Jena, vabva vatisingosvika CA3 taenda kusvika ipapa later, but since yangounzwa kuti ivhiwe rega tiivhiye. Let's start from here. Do you support the CA3?
I don't support the democratic system at all. But if you want my opinion as an outsider over the conversation, it's a healthy conversation. Because for once we've discovered that a constitution can be amended, which is a positive.
There are still arguments whether it can be amended or not.
Come on, man. You go to all your lawyers. It's not written in stone. It's a living document. Don't be misled by anyone.
We've got law societies which are actually protesting against
The problem
it.
is
They
that
say that the constitution is a sacred document.
look at all civilizations. Look at all countries that have constitutions, including America. Right now, you hear in America, amendment number what? Amendment number what? All those things that Trump is signing. What do you think he's doing? What do you think he's doing? Is he not? He's not amending the constitution.
Yeah, of course.
So what is so sacred about your Zimbabwean constitution that all of a sudden you want to have the constitution? Trump has signed more than 60 or 80 of those things, changing the constitution altogether. So what's so important about Zimbabwe?
And you should not amend it willy-nilly, like, they say, amended this, and amended this, amended this. It should be treated with sanctity.
I'll help you on that. It must be amended according to their desire.
The lawyers.
Yes.
Whatever lawyers, it should be amended according to their...
No, but if they were really serious about amendment of constitutions and stuff like that, their contributions, they know where they must house it. Why are they excluding themselves from the very system that is amending the constitution? Because they're involved in opposition politics.
Most lawyers, they are opposition leaders.
Saka wagara opposition a referee of a game which you are not playing. And don't you know that sometimes those that are sitting on the terraces, they play better soccer than those that are inside the game. Wakagara kumabench. The man has got a stomach, he can't even lift himself from the bench. But he knows how to play the game.
Actually, we appoint those leaders for 5 years. By 5 years, are you able to do this thing in a period of
you cannot swap
time measured?
You cannot swap
5 years.
You cannot swap long-term projects for short-term politicians. And hence I was giving the illustration that we needed a political system that can be planning for 65 years or 100 years from now. And as voters, we are not going to be looking for politicians. We are looking for implementers who can deliver this project with the timeline that we have. But right now what we have, we are more interested in the political leadership rather than the developmental plan. The question I must be asking you is, who is the right person to deliver the 100-year plan for Zimbabwe? Do we even have a 100-year plan?
We only have a 5-year plan based on each and every government.
A mining contract, normal mining contract. How long does it take to realize your profit?
I've never been into mining.
It takes between 5 to 17 years to make a turnaround. 5 to 17 years. Then you have 5 years. Then the person you're asking to bring an investment needs a 17-year contract. But by the time he begins to realize his profit, you'll have changed presidents 3 times. Let me go with you. You'll have changed president 3 times. And in the 3 times that you'll have changed presidents, the contract will have been renegotiated 3 times. Is the investor most likely to invest in a country that is an unstable governance system, or he wants to make sure that his investment is protected?
Do you mean with a 5-year contract, president, it means that there is an unstable government system?
It's unstable. Because every time a new leader comes in, it's new policies, new leaders, new DGs, new SGs, new permanent secretaries, every 5 years. Just when when a tree is just beginning to start showing that it is adjusted to the ground, we transplant it. We plant it again. Just when it is beginning to, and when you wonder after 35 years, how come there's no fruits on this thing? Because we have political appointments. I gave one illustration, I think, in one of the TV programs. Look at America. Fauci. You know Fauci? The one for health.
Dr. Fauci. Yes.
He was the permanent secretary during the times of George Bush Sr. In fact, he came in during the times of Reagan. He worked with George Bush Sr. He worked with Bill Clinton. He worked with George Bush Jr. He worked with
Some more than 30, 40 years.
Obama. Yeah. He worked with Trump. He just retired now a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
You're looking at permanent secretary in the government office. The institutional knowledge of health in America. Presidents are coming and going, but the institutional memory remains. Look at Zimbabwe and look at African politics. Every time there is a change in the head.
But America actually changes every 4 years, isn't it?
But their system, what Zimbabwe must be worried about right now is who takes over after Mnangagwa.
Why should we be worried?
Hell no, if he's a bad leader, you'll have 7 years. And if he takes another term, you have 14 years.
Yeah, so no, that's
But if he's a good leader, you'll have 7 years of abundance. We actually don't need a politician as a next leader. We need an economic hitman. We need an engineer.
How does he get there?
We need a business person. We need a financially stable person.
No, but how does he get there without politics?
I leave that to you as young people. Yeah. I leave that to you. You don't want to play the game. You want to be talking how the game must be played. Get in and play.
But so long as my arguments is CA3. Munhu ari kupiwa imwe term here kana kuti ari kuextendwa term yangagara nayo?
No. We're extending constitutionally that presidential elections now, when you are in office, you should be able to stay there for 7 years rather than staying for 5 years.
And then the question, what difference does it make?
It's not a small difference in business. It's a huge difference in business. The 5-year contract and the 7-year contract are not the same. There's a new disease I discovered in Africa, which is called PCD, which is permanent campaign disorder.
PCD, permanent campaign disorder.
Yeah. Where African countries are permanently in campaign mode. Abashandi basa ravo kucampaign. Vachipinda muoffice nhasi vakutanga kucampaign. They start in campaign. You have your first year in office, you still don't know what is happening in the office. Yeah. Madzinga voseka ndimasvika kane team tsva fresh into the office. Now you're in the ministry. You want to start working. Where do you start? When you've chased away the institutional knowledge. If second year, you are paying out people that put you in office because they begin to ask, hey, Pela, we're here. What's happening? So most likely the budgets are going to your friends who put you in power.
Yes.
Year number 3, you're beginning to have a consultation. Yes. What is it that we need to do in this office? And then they give you a list of the things that must be done in the department. At the end of that year, you're now starting to campaign because you're on the 4th year.
You're preparing
the 5th
for
year,
either your exit or comeback.
You're out. So you tell me, when do we work? Because literally a leader only works for 1 year in office, 2 years behind and 2 years after, and same as your president. So the longer term for me, without necessarily using Mnangagwa as a reference point, if we should get a leader and they have a longer term, surely a 7-year period for me sounds much, much more practical in terms of even look at the Blower Harare Road. It's now on 86%. Mashingo Harare Road is now on 86% after how many years?
No.
We are not interested in terms. We are interested in development. I don't know what is this obsession you have with democracy vis-a-vis development. And if you can't see the distinction, I understand.
Yeah.
But what I'm addressing is that, do you want to put a democratic system that works, or do you want to have a project plan, that the project team that delivers? You can't have both. Ngatinde to Singapore, where they use meritocracy. A country looks at itself. They get the best person for the job. If they invest in Zimbabwe, invest in everybody in the country. You have all their CVs on paper. And as a country, we don't vote for politicians. We look for the men in this country. This is what we want to do in the next 7 years. We want this delivered, want this delivered, want this delivered, want this delivered. And here are the requirements. Next question. Who can we find?
Who can do that?
Who can deliver that? I think for me, that is a much, much, much better way of solving problems than who is the loudest voice in terms of politicians amongst us. Who shouts the most? Who does the best slogans? Because slogans don't deliver. Slogans don't build. Slogans don't heal. So we must make a decision. Do you want slogans or do you want development?
Well, one of the fears in Iran, again,
How much did the last election cost Zimbabwe?
millions and millions.
Take a guess. It was 13 million, conservatively.
13 million. It's cheap.
How much have we spent so far as the SADC region in elections in the past 5 or 6 years? 128 billion.
Billion.
Yeah.
SADC region.
Sub-Sahara, not even the whole of Africa. How much did it cost to build the dam in Ethiopia that has powered the whole of Ethiopia and North Africa?
Not this one, I don't know.
800 million. How much will it cost us to build a fuel, petrol pipeline between Angola and Zimbabwe, between Libya and Zimbabwe, between Nigeria and Zimbabwe? You find that the money we are spending on elections is 10 times more than what it would take us for investment. So here we are busy toying and talking how to maintain a democratic system, but spending our money on pieces of paper. And the pieces of paper, people are demanding for services.
So if
People want jobs, people want services, but instead of taking the money and putting it in services, we are putting the money into the system that is not delivering the services. I don't know where you get confused.
if we forego that cost, so that I know we are not going to hold my elections, that money, someone would argue that it will still end up in the pockets of the few. The poor will get poorer, and the rich will get richer without even fear which the poor will come and vote them out.
Then it's a crisis of leadership. We've not produced for ourselves leaders. And from my own point of view, all the leaders that are in parliament, Zingo, are just like you.
Just
Ask
like
me
in
why.
what sense? Why?
Ask me why?
Yeah.
They're just like you.
In what sense?
They grew up just like you grew up. They fantasize the same thing you fantasize. They want the same cars that you want.
So I can't expect anything better.
The country, every country deserves its leader.
Yes.
What you produce is what will govern you. So until you produce a different quality of, and by the way, when you use the Chinese model, you get me excited. Because in your constitution, you go and you scrap the clauses that says when you commit murder, you can no longer be killed.
No offense, it's human rights abuse.
I'm saying again, you are talking from outside. China, you are killed. Okay? It's a public deterrent, no-go area. So when you go to the constitutions and you don't put checks and balances in the system to protect it from abuse, then democracy becomes a breeding ground of corruption. Then what do you do to me? I steal. And then what do? Nothing. I bribe the same system and I come back into the system. So for you to build some, hence when I'm talking about dictatorship, I hope you can hear me from the angle at which I'm coming from. That is not just dictatorship. It must be purposeful. And in our tradition, in our African
It
tradition,
should be responsible dictatorship.
it benevolent. I'm using even a better word for you. It must be benevolent. It is respectful. But it will protect the community. We will not sacrifice the lives of millions to protect the life of one. You cannot tell me that you rape 16 women and you kill 5. And then you have rights. Is your life now more important than those that you killed? Keeping you alive, and you have 25 coffins that are here with 16 rape cases that are here. What good is your life?
Nothing.
So when you begin to remove those elements in your constitution, then you begin to complain, our rape charges. Like me, in positions of power, I would cut that piece of furniture and give it to the dogs. I'm not joking.
As I will cut it and give it to the dogs.
You don't know what to do with it. And if it has become a weapon of mass destruction, then better the dogs digest it for you. But you don't have to cut all men. You cut a few. And then the whole community will understand. That's why right now in Saudi Arabia, when you're going for prayers to the mosque at lunch hour, you just take a piece of cloth and you cover your diamond rings and etc. on the side of the road. And you go to church for an hour, to the mosque for an hour. And not a single person will come and open here. You were there.
I was there. I actually left a phone when we were doing the jet skiing. I left my very expensive phone, this one. It cost something like 1.2. I left it, and then I came back 30 minutes later. I found it there.
Untouched.
Yes.
How did you feel?
I felt safe. They say it's the safest.
So
Just I think before they were bombed, they were
the beautiful
safest.
part of what you're saying, you felt safe. Why? Because the Constitution and the judiciary system has put systems in place that deter people
from doing that.
Now, when you talk about democracy and human rights, which opens up the door of insecurity,
You can't achieve that.
where criminals are protected by the very same system which must protect us. Are you aware that in a democratic system, actually the victim
Is the ordinary person.
is the real victim? If a man comes into your house here and he tries to rob you and steal and rape your wife or steal your child, and you shoot him or you beat him up,
You go to jail yourself.
you will go to jail. And the criminal is protected. So right now, the people that are criminals to our systems are protected by the very same system. And that's what you call democracy. And I'm telling you, it does not work. It has not worked. It's a breeding ground of corruption. You talk about corruption, hey, there's corruption in the country. There's no problem with corruption. There's a problem with what do you do when you find a corrupt person? How do you deal with them? Well, the way you deal with them will tell the rest of them who want to become corrupt how to stay away from corruption.
How does China deal with corruption?
Oh, they shoot you.
UAE.
Cut off your hands.
And then if you rape a victim,
They slaughter you, they stone you. In Zimbabwe and in Africa, we promote you and change departments and give you bigger 4x4s to drive around town, and they call you Mbinga, Chibaba.
Ladies and gentlemen, because of our time, we'll give Jenna the opportunity to give us his parting. We had a lot of things to talk about, but we can't exhaust this man in just one sitting. Once in a while, we'll be here. Jenna.
My conclusion will be that we needed to go back to basics. The basics of an academic institution is the quality of its debates.
Yes.
Where I remember when I was in primary school, for polygamy, against polygamy. Then we'll come around the stage. And this one says the advantages of polygamy is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other one comes, the disadvantages are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The advantages of monogamy. And we would argue and argue and argue. And at the end of the debate, the one who won the debate is not because you liked polygamy or you liked monogamy, but who spoke sense and were able to argue their issue to the advantages and the disadvantages. Which for me, that's the environment I grew up in, which was a healthy space to develop my mind.
Actually, what we are going to do is we are going to partner with one of our university institutions, maybe use it, whichever which would have embraced us, and with your indulgence, of course, we will organize a conference or a talk show at that time, or a summit where it will be a bet of ideas.
Because what I wanted to conclude on is that we needed to have a healthy political conversation as a country. So that you can come around and say, what do you think about amendment number 3? I think this. What do you think? I think this. What do you think? I think this. And I am not my ideas. These are just ideas. But in Zimbabwe here, once you share and you echo your idea, people leave the idea behind and they come for you as a person, which becomes very contaminated, unfortunately. So when I would say, look at the advantages of the amendment, for me, not even about amendment number 3, it is just the fact that we've just now learned that a constitution can be amended. So while you're amending number 3, you may as well discuss number 1. Number 2, I now want to know even what is number 7 saying. And number 8, what are other issues that are in this constitution that also need amendment? So that this whole sacrosanct constitution, it must be held with some sacrosanct. Sacrosanct in poverty is what? Who benefits from a constitution that cannot help its own people?
We will end up without a constitution at all.
We will end up with America. It has taken America 400 years to build to where it is now. You're still 35 years. Relax. It's a young democracy. You're still very young, 40 years now. And you're already talking we'll end up with no democracy. That's what it means to build institutions of knowledge. You learn and you grow until you pile up documents that you can say, according to Ian Abasozo, we made this mistake. We rectified it here. We are now here. That's how democracies grow, young men.
Thank you, Jenna. Ladies and gentlemen, hatipedzi panapa, tinongodzoka zvekare. And with that, we are out.
Ari Zigo akaifana kuwapo ya. Zigo narwadziwa kuti Zigo ine. Amefani yake, amefani, I'll tell you the truth.
Zigo akaipa mdara. Zigo akaipa mdara. Munhu yaya ndi people's journey. Ona inini pamajournalist atina muzimbabwe ndomurota number 1.
Yeah? Serious?
Pamajournalist isanoziva zvaanoita noziva basa yacho. Is number 1. Kwandiri ndomurota number 1.
Zico is a journalist.
Amefani yake, amefani, I'll tell you the truth.
Zigo akaipa mdara.
Ladies and gentlemen, Easter is not just an ordinary holiday. Iholiday inoremekedzwa chaizvo munyika yeZimbabwe both by maKristu and manon-Kristu. But time yokuti kana wakasevha tumari twako uchida kushandisawo paholiday iyoyo whether paprimary residence kana kumusha kwenyu ndo time yatinogadzira mapromotion isu ana Zigo. Tinonolayeza nemakambani akafanana naLogos Solar Tech. Tinoudza kuti we have got a promotion inotumidzwa zita rangu because I'm the initiative. And tamatangoti tangene exhibition happy clients pamba pataisa a very clean set zvisina kuti kwamabvonga kuti chimwe chiri uko. This blends beautifully nemainteriors emumba. Mr. Ketch,
Zigo, how are you?
package yamatumidza pazita rangu iri.
Yes, this is
Dudes, good news.
This is the Zigo package.
Yes.
So the Zigo package is dedicated to all our clients as we are heading on towards the Easter holidays.
Yes.
Saka kune vese vanenge vachida kuti vanakirwe nemagetsi vasave vanoaffectwa nekuti havana magetsi mumba mavo. They can have this Zigo package. So Zigo package, it comes with this wall mount 25.6 volt lithium battery. Beautiful.
25.6. This is not just a battery.
It's beautiful indeed.
Pana mama battery andikuona kuti ange imota akaiswa muzimba kutangaona kangomountira battery imota.
So it's also it's a wall mount really touch screen futi. Dinge richiratidzawo capacity yaro apa on the screen.
Touch screen anomuona an intelligent battery. Yes.
And then it also comes with this 3.2 hybrid inverter. And then you're in 4 solar panels are 450 watts.
Aripadenga.
Yoita protection kit.
Arikubuda ne-up.
Arikubuda nepamsoro.
Anomuona ceiling haina kuborwa. It was caved in, as you can see. Zvekuti hapana chinombokanganisika mumusha menyu. And then yoita chi?
Yobva yaiswa protection kit yacho. And all my kits ekuprotector solar system yedu kuti inge inochishanda zvakanaka. But for this week we had one special item yatati tisina kuti titaure nezvayo. Inonzi Sage protecting device. So this red item or red device irapa inoiswa into this setup protection kit. Kuti tiprotect isusu both our inverter as well as our battery from damage yemasages or anonzi masage spikes anobva through masolar panels edu.
Alright.
Yes. So this thing is added in a way yekuti kana if there is any sage spike inenge yaitika inotorwa yodisposwa yoenda kuearth kugrounding or bonding yakaitwa panapa.
Alright. Maengineer anotora nelanguage yechirungu. Kana moto wauya wakawandisa kana kuti uri mushoma kana kuti uchitamba usiri stable, ichi chinenge chichiya chikonobalansisa zvese chichirasa zvinoda kuraswa. Kana pasina ichi unoona kuti inverter yenyu inogona kufa kana zvinenge zviri mumba zvinogona kufa. Saka ichochi ichi only at Logos Solar Tech. Who qualifies for this?
Saka vanhu vese vanenge vangotibata during this Easter as we are approaching the Easter holiday, obva angotaura kuti I need the Zigo package because in a promo code yayo I need the Zigo package. Vanongoiwana at 1,200 fix and supply price. 1,200
only.
1,200 only to those who are within a 50-kilometer radius within Harare CBD.
Alright, Harare 50 kilometers Harare.
And then kana takubudawo.
Saka kuruwa vanopinda ka.
Varikuruwa vanopinda.
Alright.
Saka kana takubudawo takuenda 50 kilometers away from Harare CBD. Tinenge takuisawo a transport appreciation as well as toll appreciation.
Ende tinouya nemota dzedu, hatisi zvinhu zvenyu mumarori zvinoitwa nevanhu vachiendesa zvinhu kuBulawayo. No, tinouya nemota dzedu. Saka hari while this promotion still runs, ukauya kumba kwangu unotosvika unoiona ndoinenge iriko because mwene wezita ndiwe anenge akatestirwa zvinhu zvacho, and with that we are out. Batinovhurikerera
Aiwa, harivhuriki.